Hey, welcome to another edition of the Lenders Gone Wild podcast. I'm your host, Matt Maier. Today, I have the privilege of being joined by a colleague and becoming good friend, Josh Jiron. Josh, cheers. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, just wanted to take a few minutes here, kind of share some stories, talk about your journey in this industry, talk about life, talk about some of the crazy things that we see here, some of the wild. We'll get into the depths of that at the end of this. But really, man, just tell me a little bit about your experience, background in mortgage, how long you've been doing this, kind of what that journey's looked like, the different things you've kind of experienced and has brought you to this place, and then kind of where you're at now and what you're excited about ahead.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I have been doing loans more than half my life now, which is crazy. I got into this super young. I was going to college and felt a little aimless and just wanted to start.
Where were you at?
I was going to Cal State Fullerton in Orange County, California.
Cool.
I had started my general ed and was kind of feeling like I was a little bit, wasting my time. I mean, for me, that's how I felt. Not college isn't always a waste of time, but I was just kind of felt like an extension of high school, and I wasn't really knowing what I wanted to do. And so I knew my aunt, who had lived nearby, worked in an office. So literally, it was just me reaching out to her.
It was an office job.
Yeah, I was like,
cool.
So I reached out to her. I was like, I don't even know what you do. I know you work in an office in Newport Beach. Is there such thing as an entry level position there? And so she had me come to her office the next day. She was a office manager and lead processor at a mortgage broker. And so literally at 19, I just turned 19, she got me a job shredding files. Like, they were kind of old school. Even then, like, this was 2004.
Yeah.
Things had
we had
started
paper files still.
Yeah. People just started to transition to cloud storage and those types of things we just don't even think about now. But this place was a little old school. They've been in business for decades at that point. And they literally had huge rooms of files that I literally went through and just, we don't need this, keep the important things. And so I just did that all day.
Or we've expanded beyond the 5 years you have to keep them or whatever,
exactly.
Right? So, yeah.
And I mean, it was like, they were high producers. So it was like taking up 50% of their office space. It felt like just like file cabinets. So it was a big task, but kind of mundane. But I just wanted to try to like soak it in. Like, can I learn what you guys do? Yeah. It doesn't require a 4 or plus year degree. So, okay, I meet that threshold.
Yep.
I didn't even know this, but this is my aunt, who is my dad's sister, and their dad also was a mortgage loan officer. So it's kind of something I guess is generational in our blood.
It's in the genes.
Yeah, exactly. And as I got to learn it, I felt like it was a great fit for me. It's a lot of numbers and a lot of people, and those are two things I love. So
what did that look like getting out of like the shred bin room, right? And right, like the legitimate shred bin. It's not like right, like boiler room shred room, right? It's like this is like you're legitimately moving up from that place.
Well, these people are like still my mortgage idols. It sounds dorky to say. So like at that point,
I'll work on that for you.
Yeah, well, you'll get there, man. They're still doing it. God bless them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, they were. I'm kind of shameless. Like, I didn't mind asking them questions. Like, what is this about? What do you do? Like, what can I? And then they were kind with their time and knowledge. And so I remember they put on a little like week-long, just a little crash course for me, where I just got to learn very basic. Yeah. And that was a nice way to get, because I feel like they do it the right way. They're just good guys who do right by their clients. And so it was a great place for me to learn in hindsight, just from nothing, obviously. I mean, she literally had to tell me in our first meeting what a mortgage was. It was a word I had heard at 19, but I had no idea what it was.
I love it. Yeah.
So I can still remember that conversation very vividly.
Okay. So, and then, get into some assisting and kind of just grow up there.
So it just so happened to coincide with a little refi boom at that time.
Yep.
And so I got thrown into, hey, can you help me like just sort out these applications? And then that led to, can you get this borrower on the phone? It was kind of a trial by fire, but worked out great for me.
Refi booms are great ways to learn the industry.
Yeah, because you just have to learn. Like, if you're going to do this, do it. And so at that age, like, it was scary to get on the phones. It was scary to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it kind of made me dive into it without really having to think, because everything was moving so fast. You know, we got to lock this rate, we got to do that. So I was learning a lot in a short amount of time. And then from there, 6 to 9 months out of that, they kind of ran out of menial tasks for me to do. And so I actually went and worked for a small brokerage in Irvine that was literally like a broker shop. If you've ever seen the movie Boiler Room, it was that. Yeah. And I was just kind of thrown into it at 20. And it was pretty crazy in hindsight. I mean, there's some stories that probably are incriminating for other people that I won't get into, just what people were doing with their free time. But they'd get amped up and hop on the phones, and it was like, you said so many things on that call that were just not accurate. So I learned a lot about what I don't want to be as a loan officer in that office. But I can remember my first day on that job. Literally, I was 20. I was in this large office with like a bunch of 30, 40-year-old guys who were just like fast talking, hard partiers, a lot of F-bombs being thrown around, just an interesting place to be thrown in at 20. And I remember after about an hour, I got up and the restroom was outside of the office in the hallway. And I was like, man, I could just keep walking to my car and just never come back. And nobody would probably even realize like I was there or left. But I stuck it out. I remember that was like, I really thought about it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna see what I can do. And the owner ended up seeing enough in me where he kind of put me next to the top LO in the office. And he's like, I want you to, like, I can hear you on the phones. You've got something that will work in this business.
Yep.
But you know, super green. So sit next to, his name is Brian. I still talk to him from time to time. Soak in as much as you can. And he was super kind too.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fortunate kind of mentors.
Yeah. You need that in any business, but especially in this business, right? Because it can go fast and be cutthroat. To have somebody who like will slow down and actually, right, train or entertain questions and right, you need some of the like trial by fire, but you need some of the hand-holding and guidance, and having those people are right. I don't think any of us have success in any of our careers without help in Brian's in our path. So that's really cool. You know, so fast forward, 20 plus years, right?
Yeah. And I haven't even gotten to my number one mentor in this business, who at 22, I was hired to be an LOA, loan officer assistant, for another small brokerage, but that was like very small. It was like the broker was the originator. He had one processor, and then he was kind of like a creative mind for business. So he dabbled in insurance and things like that. So his son worked there as kind of like on the insurance side. And then I just came in and learned from him, ran his pipeline, kind of just ran operations. I grew into that role, but I worked with him for 18 years. And, and so, again, I know how it is now. I'm fortunate enough to be a busy loan originator, but at the same time, anybody who I can help, like, I just remember being helped so many times by people who didn't have to take the time to teach me. So I do try to be conscious of that and help when I can.
Yeah, that's huge, right? And makes a good teammate. So, and then, 18 years, and then somewhere in there you moved to Arizona.
Yes. So my wife and I are both lifelong, up to 2020, Southern Californians. And probably if you'd asked me in 2019, would we ever live anywhere else, we would have said no. I had a job I had been at for a long time and had grown in. And at that point, I was going to the office every day. That's just what we did.
Yep.
And COVID hits, and all of a sudden we had to be remote. And so it kind of, my broker at the time, probably a little bit traditional, old school. So he fought it a little bit, but it's like we had to be remote. So it's like at that point,
especially in California, right?
Exactly.
The rules were a little bit.
The rules were a little bit nuts. Yeah. There were different reasons why we were feeling pulled to like maybe try something else, but my career was there.
Yep.
And we had 2 kids with a third on the way. And so that was actually, for us, I know COVID wasn't great for a lot of reasons, but for us, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because that allowed us to, show my then boss that, hey, I can do this job and be effective, not in the office. So now I have the freedom to maybe move elsewhere. And my brother had actually moved to Arizona a few years before. We liked it out here. And so we're very happy that we moved in summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, into East Mesa, like East Valley.
And then you've dabbled in real estate too a little bit along the way?
Yeah, so we obviously, speaking of refi booms, we
Yeah.
had a big one during COVID and coming out of that. And then when rates jumped up, all of a sudden I kind of found myself not as busy as I was or wanted to be.
Right.
And I'd always kind of had a thought like maybe my wife would try being a real estate agent. I think she'd be good at
I've
it.
had the thought as well.
Yeah, I'm like, so why don't, that would be something where we could kind of help each other. And,
Sure.
But, she keeps having kids and wanting to have kids. God bless her. And I do too, for the record. So that's just kind of been on the back burner. She's been with our kids. We have 3 on 9 and under. But so this was an opportunity where like, hey, why don't I just try it and see if I can be the left hand feeding the right hand. And agent work is fine. I like real estate. I've been, I know the market pretty well, but it's a different job, and I knew that. And I just think I'm better suited for loans. I just love loans.
It's like your first passion.
It is, yeah. And the real estate agent work is fun, but lending is where my heart is, I guess.
Yep. Cool. Awesome, man. And then transitioned out of the broker space. Talk to me a little bit about that move, and that's a big shift in your career, especially in a time where I feel like the popular thing was going the other way.
Mm-hmm. So I've loved it. I always am a glass half full person anyway. So like, what am I going to get out of this that's positive for myself and my clients? And I've always looked at, and maybe it's part of I never had that. I was always in the broker space.
Sure.
But being in the banking space, I just feels like I'm so much better equipped to help my clients because I have the benefits of what a broker can do, which is shop around for the best product and rate. But now we've got so much more control in underwriting and closing. Yeah. I'm not waiting on, XYZ lender to get me my docs whenever they can get me my docs or review conditions. It's just, it's that same world, but on steroids basically. So it's just like, I love it. And we work with great people who, are, make the loan as much of a breeze as possible outside of borrower shenanigans.
I enjoy that, right? Like having kind of your like in-house people, right? Whether it's processing, underwriting, disclosures, the closer, all right. It creates consistency, which I enjoy working that way too, right? Like there's just much more relationship there, and it's less transactional.
Were you ever in the pure broker space?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, we've brokered a number of loans as that's been the right fit for people, and we have the flexibility to do both. I've always had a worse experience brokering.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean there are some lenders
but I
that
also
do a great
worked.
job. But
we also worked really hard to build a process and a system that makes for when you do control the process A to Z in house. Let's build it and be at a bank that is built for, making that the most seamless and simple process possible, right? So, but there's a lot of good. I mean, there's a lot of good shops that their processes are great, especially on the non-QM side, though. Not always awesome.
Yeah, and you kind of know what you're getting into with those tricky loans. There, it's going to be a slog a little bit sometimes.
So even when we had some of the other bigger options to broker to, I didn't love their processes. Right, I just felt like it could have been better.
Yeah,
but at any rate. So as you look back, right, and you have this long career with a really long stint in one place and a lot of great people who invested you along the way, what would you point to as some of your greatest accomplishments?
I it's an interesting question because I can focus very heavily, and my wife would back this up, on the day-to-day, right? And especially since we have a family and I'm the provider. So I'm always thinking about, it's great that this month I've been able to do this, but what does next month look like? Right. And it's hard for me to even stop and really step back and think about that. Yep. I would say, I couldn't point to some major award or something I've won or anything like that. And I worked at small companies and I liked that part of it, kind of a more intimate setting. I guess what I would say is just the benefit of being able to have made a living, provide for my family, gain clients who I feel like trust me and want to work with me, hopefully, for the rest of their, loan need life. But that I just think is a big accomplishment, because I love that this job has no ceiling. Like we get, as much as we can earn and do what we can, like that's a great feeling. God bless people who are on salary and they have that security, know exactly what they're getting. There's a lot to like about that.
We like those
too.
borrowers.
Yeah, I love them. Please call me. But the floor is the floor, right? You can go a month where you make $0, and that's not the greatest feeling in the world to know that in the back of your mind, but also it drives me. And I'm a super competitive person, so I like to compete against myself. Here's what I did last month. Can I do better this month? And I just kind of use that fuel. So that served me
I still
well.
have the W-2 for my best year ever, like on my dresser.
Nice.
Right?
I love it.
Right? Same idea. Like that number, like we need to beat that number, right? And then replace it and then go after it again.
Yes.
So,
and real quick, my aunt, who I mentioned at the beginning of that story.
Oh yeah.
I should have shouted her out. She actually passed away a couple years ago.
Sorry,
Aunt Lisa, but she was a gem, and I love her to death. I still do. But just wanted to mention her name.
Oh man. Yeah. Sorry for your loss, but that's right. Like the memory, right? And like her legacy lives on.
Yeah.
In a sense, right?
And I owe so much of what I have. I mean, loans have always been such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Then I owe that to her. So, love you, Aunt Lisa.
Oh, dude. That's great. So, right, lots to celebrate, lots of amazing things that this industry provides in terms of flexibility, income earning potential, right? You can be at things for the kids. You can, take on what you need to in order to support at home, but also, find a way to drive and continue to provide.
And that's been a big challenge for me. Like I love the flexibility. I always wanted to be a dad. I'm so blessed to be a dad. I love all of it, but there's always that give and take of I have a little flexibility where I can do school pickups and I can do things that are there to help, and also just so my kids and I get that time together as much as possible. But then I also have to take sometimes a 7 o'clock call because an urgent borrower is signing docs and they don't understand this and they, so.
We got to get this offer accepted on a Saturday.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And that's part of what I hope to, it's about finding the balance. And I'm not always the best at that because if I want to provide the best service I can for clients, for agents, and I feel like I do a pretty good job at that. But there's also times where I could maybe let a call go to voicemail and know it's not going to be that urgent, but there's just something that pulls me where it's like, just in case. And that is something that I struggle with and need to probably find a better balance on.
It's real in our industry though, right? Because it is, right? If I don't answer the phone, that is the lifeblood of our business, right? That is the beginning of the service and the value that we provide. So that's hard.
Yeah.
That's a hard balance, right? And so
and it's like one thing if you don't win a deal, you don't win all the deals as much as I would love to. Yeah. But if you lose a deal because, oh, my cousin's a lender and I'm just going to give them a loan, or hey, they're just doing better than you on this one, which is rare, but okay, let's say that happens.
Yeah, right.
Then it's like you live with that because you take some L's, but the ones where it's like I should have just answered the phone, that's a way harder thing for me to sit with. And then they called the next lender on the list and I missed out on the loan, like that would eat at me.
Yep, dude, 100%. Right. I think that's a universal like loan officer.
Yeah, well, if you're good at it should bother you, right?
It should, yeah. It makes you better, but it also
stings.
Yeah, you have to have really understanding spouses and kids.
Yes,
at times.
Yes, yeah. And a big thing, and this is probably true with most industries. I've always tried to do my best to take a lesson from losses. I have a cousin who I love dearly. We're super tight. We grew up together, very close in age. She called me. I was probably 25. I was very young and loan officer in my career at the time. And she wanted to buy her first home with her husband. And so she called me, asked me some information about it. I gave her some info on a couple of loan programs, but in hindsight, and I realized this right after the fact, I was probably too, and maybe because she was my cousin, but I was a little too insistent on I think this is the best fit for you. So this one makes a lot of sense. Here's why I think it's better. As opposed to, and what I learned from that is, let me educate you on the options. If you want my opinion, obviously I'll be happy to share it, but here's the pros and cons of this option, this option, this option, and then let them be empowered and informed to make a decision. And so I don't feel like I can't point to a time in the last 15 plus years since that happened where I've made the same mistake, I'm happy to say, but it was one that stung, right? Because then her husband stepped in and was like, I really think we should do this other loan type.
Got it.
And so they went with another loan
option
person. Yeah. Hey, this NAGAM sounds like a can't lose deal. I would give them an option if they wanted it. Classic. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah. So, so talking to that, right, to the learning from losses type of a thing, what would you say is one of the biggest setbacks you've experienced in your career?
Probably going through the mortgage crash 07, 08 and thinking like I was still young. I was 24, 23, 24 at the time. So I was early in my career, but
Single?
I was single. So I didn't have kids or anything like that. So that was, if I was going to survive a dry patch like that, a serious one, that was the time to do it. But there was a time where I had to think about, do I need to switch careers? Like the industry just feels like all these lenders that we had worked with and knew of that seemed like weren't going anywhere. Like you would think of a Chase today or somebody big like that, were just falling by the wayside. So it's like, you know, there was even chatter in the worst of it where we thought mortgage brokers were just going to go away. Like you just couldn't be a mortgage broker. Like you were just going to outlaw it or change the rules. I mean, it really got wild for a while.
Sure
so you just didn't know what the future looked like. And so that, thankfully, again, my mentor, Brian, shout out, Crossmark, love you. He really had to dig deep to keep us afloat, keep me on board. And he did that to his credit, and we came out the other end, and we've, you know, had plenty of flourishing time since then, thankfully, thanks to his perseverance. But yeah, that was definitely a time where I was like, shoot, am I going to have to think about doing something else?
That's a huge setback. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
wild. Well, and it's hard to, I don't know about you, but I think I know you well enough to know, like, we're similar this way, that like showing up every day and like doing the things that it takes to be excellent at this with some of that doubt or that trepidation, that uncertainty, makes it not always so easy.
No, yeah.
Right? Like it's hard to be excellent at what you do when you're like, am I going to survive this?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's something too, like, I don't know if it's just my like stubbornness at times, but the feeling of zigging when other people are zagging, because every was a max exodus from the business at that time, right? So like a lot of people weren't sticking it out, and out of necessity, no, not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
But then the barrier to entry was heightened.
Compliance requirements. I'm out. Right?
Red flags. I don't know. No thanks.
Correct.
I mean, it was literally before that. You would literally go to Starbucks, and the barista would tell you like, "Oh, by the way, I'm doing loans now." Like,
well, so
what?
even like to compare, right? Refi booms, right? You talked about where you got started. You're like the guy in the shred room, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to handle some of these apps."
The 19-year-old in the shred room.
Tomorrow you can be a loan officer.
Yeah, exactly. There was no barrier to entry.
Right. Whereas like the last boom in COVID, my marketing guy, right? He hits the database with the like, here's where rates are. Reply if you're interested, and the thing goes right, and I look at him and go, uh-oh, right?
Yep.
How are we going to do all this? And he literally turned around and went and got licensed. But it wasn't like, right, we couldn't just put it on his desk.
Right, exactly.
Right? He had to go through weeks of a process to be able to help us. And luckily that season persisted long enough to help him launch a career. But that being said, right, it wasn't the easiest switch to flip that you had, right?
Yeah,
back
for sure.
pre-Dodd-Frank.
Yeah. And I mean, literally, I remember being 19, 20, getting on the phone with people, and I'll admit it, I was a late bloomer. So like at 19, 20, I felt like I sounded 14. Like I just had a youthful
had the squeaky
voice.
A little crack in it.
For sure. So I remember consciously like trying to talk to people about something important, like their home loans, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm like trying to make my voice sound deeper on the phone. Like, oh, this is Josh or whatever I was doing. Like I
That's
remember
like when I was 22 trying to sell people annuities, be like, hey, you need to roll over your, $1.4 million. And they're like, I'm sorry, how old are you? Right?
Oh, for sure. And I even got that sometimes. And I was even trying to very professional.
Yeah. That's great, dude. So you've seen a lot, right, in this industry and a lot of good times, bad times, a lot of perseverance, crashes, booms.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it teaches you everything's cyclical, right? The good times last so long, the lighter times last so long, and it'll swing back the other way.
What's the end game look like? What's the like, right? Like I always kind of feel like this idea of like I've arrived is a fallacy, but at the same time, it's really important. I think a lot of us have things we're kind of striving for or hoping to accomplish. I feel like this is the, like, at least as of today, this would be the pinnacle of success in my career.
So I guess I would say building up enough, like continuing to build my client base, and that's step one of it, to where I can have people who assist me the way I've assisted others in handling my loan volume, but still being present enough to, reach borrowers and talk about, what they need talked about and answer questions like that, but then be able to pass off some of the, day-to-day tasks and getting a loan done off to people who I can trust and I feel comfortable with, my clients feel good. So that's part one, is to kind of reduce my time commitment to making a loan happen, I guess, basically.
Okay.
So that's part one of it. And then part two is I would love to have an opportunity to be on the other side of that mentor-mentee relationship, right? I was very blessed to have, like I said, excellent mentors, and to be able to be in that role and help a younger person who's passionate about loans, who has the drive.
Yep.
I always say about my kids, like, even more than me wishing they were super intelligent, I want them to have an engine, a motor.
Yep.
Like, if you just get after it, you will be fine in whatever it is.
You can pick whatever the thing is. Yeah, 100%.
So if I can find like-minded people and I can impart any sort of knowledge in my experience and help them be what they can become in this business, that would be very fulfilling for me too. I would love that.
I love that.
So that's kind of the two-pronged part of it that I would kind of feel like I've built this to what I want it to be ultimately.
Yeah. Well, right. Like the technology helps you a little bit with the first one, right? Like the reducing the time on task, but also they kind of go together, right? In my experience is like the person you bring along to help you to be able to get some time back, right? And you're willing to trade the dollars for the time, right? Most precious resource we have.
Right.
So that's usually a really good exchange for a lot of producers. And then, but here's the challenge. And I think you probably know these people. I know a lot of these people. We have some coworkers that were these people that get stuck being the guy or the girl that is necessary to keep time freed up for the leader, right? So how do you, as you turn into being this guy instead of this guy, right? As you are the leader that has a staff or a team that supports the excellent service and care that you provide your clients, how do you also create a place where they can grow out of that?
Right.
Without it being a threat to your new normal and kind of create an existential crisis for you as a leader, right? So you don't want to hold them down.
Right.
Right? But you also don't want to put yourself in a position where that's a 12 to 24 month revolving door.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So interesting, like you're just kind of like, if you've thought through like that side of it as you build.
No. But it's one of those problems to have that's probably better than most problems. So it's not something I've given a lot of thought to, but also at the same time, I'm still in the process of, I'm on the side where I actually have somebody who's assisting me as an LOA after being in that role for so long. And I'm finding it more difficult in this stage to let go. It's not that I don't trust Rita, shout out, but
she's amazing, by the way.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
It's more just so much of our job is get this off my desk. Like, this is a task I need to get done. I need to get it done ASAP, and then it needs to go to the next step in the process. I can't be the reason any of this is held up. That's just kind of the way I've always looked at it.
Sure.
And so relying on another person to kind of meet the timeline that I feel like we need to meet is difficult, but I'm getting there. And it's not about Rita, or it's completely my thing.
I've been there.
Yeah. So that's the part I'm learning as we go here, because it's still a relatively new thing for me.
It is. Well, and anytime, right, you bring people in, right, there's the finding, it takes a minute to get that dynamic built. to get the it's not trust necessarily, but it is a confidence that we are operating the same way without having to like tell you what to do. Right.
Yeah.
It just takes a minute to develop that.
Right. Because the perfect relationship in that professional environment is like, I need you to be an extension of me.
Yeah.
Like I need you to kind of know what I would do and do that, but like in your own way, of course.
To bring your Rams into it, right? Like Stafford needs to know Cup is going to see the same coverage he sees and run the route variation that he needs to in order to be able to beat the blitz.
Speaking my language,
right? Got you, right? And then when you
don't,
it's a pick six.
Or like us, we're like a Luka LeBron thing going on right now. The young guy with the old guard, just working off each other.
Bro, your beard looks a lot more like LeBron's than mine.
Did I get a nod back here? Thanks for that.
But yeah. I wish I could sit here and flex like LeBron. I promise you that.
Dude, he's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, right. So it's that teammate, right? It's that we're in such lockstep and we see things so similarly that we're finishing sentences kind of dynamic.
Right.
So,
and I've gotten there on the LOA side of it. So it's a time thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, I appreciate kind of sharing your whole story there. Anything, what's the future hold? What are you kind of most excited about here as we dive into what promises to be a really fun, rest of 2025?
I'm excited. The trajectory that things have been on with loans has just been a huge blessing. I'm partnered with some great teams and agents, and clients are, starting to get excited about, maybe I can make this work now. So I'm getting just a general, the snowball's starting to roll downhill. It's a little bit of a slow transition from everybody kind of feeling like I'm used to rates at 2.5, and now you're telling me it's 6.5. It's funny. I would tell this anecdote. I told it probably for 15 years, and this was the truth. When I first got into this business in 2004, we couldn't write applications fast enough for people to refinance down to 6%. They were so excited. Yep. And people would laugh like, 6%, that sounds insanely high.
I saw a stat right now, 50% of current homeowners would consider buying again when rates get to 5.5.
Interesting. That makes sense. But it's enough time passes, people have to, natural progression of things, they have to make moves. I got to downsize. I need more space. We're having another baby, whatever it is. So it's like, I want to hold tight to that 2.5, but at some point life happens. So, what can you do to make it work?
Exactly. Well, and that's where, right, experience and creativity and ability to solve and really like enter into a process with people, right? It's a huge part of what helps you create success in your business. So blessed to have had a chance to watch some of that growth and experience some of that alongside of you. You want to tell some stories?
Sure. Always.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go first. I think we're going to talk a little bit about, right. So in this business, you see some wild stuff, right? That's why it's called Lenders Gone Wild. There are wild stories that most of the world probably doesn't know, or, right. There's like the t-shirt out there. That's like, I'm a loan officer. I fix problems you didn't know you had, right? Like you see crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it's borrowers, some of it's agents and other professionals, right? Title, whatever. Some of it is inside the mortgage shop. And so I know we're drinking, and I know this is a sensitive subject, so I don't want to belittle this or in any way celebrate things that I can recognize are sometimes real struggles for people. But I'll never forget kind of how you were talking about like getting dropped into the boiler room type of a shop. My first job wasn't that insane. It was post Dodd-Frank, so like we still had paper files and we were still shredding things, but we also, right, we're living in a highly regulated, super compliant, disclose sometimes just because you're not sure if something that you need to disclose changed or not, right? Like we're like right in that, like between Dodd-Frank and TRID. Well, there was a guy, one of the good producers in our branch, and one of the top producers in our company, a lot of months, and just hustled. And like, I didn't know how he did it, but it was like, you're the new guy on the block. You're like, wow, look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so a few of the other LOs, I'm like just this brand new baby LOA, like learning how to like run credit and read pay stubs and stack paper files as an assistant. And they're like, hey, we'll go to lunch. And I get invited for like one of the first times, right? Like I'm in the club. And so there's a handful of us at the table. We're at a couple different tables. And this dude, I'm not kidding you. We sit down. The waiter comes over to like hand up the menus. Like as we sit down, it's like, I'll have a double Jaeger. Then the like comes back like, hey, you guys ready? And he's like, I'll have another double Jaeger. We haven't even put in food yet.
Smooth.
Yeah. By the time we're done with lunch, like this is like 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, right? 4 double Jaegers, and he goes back to the office and is just cranking loans and loan apps. And I'm like, how? How in the world? Like, how do you do that? And I'm significantly younger than him.
Right.
And I'm like, this would kill me. I'd be on the
I'd
floor.
be napping under my desk.
I'd be on the
for
floor,
sure.
right? Like, right? Like and I have the fraternities behind me. Like I'm not, right? I'm not
Frat Matt.
unfamiliar with drinking.
Right.
I just I looked at that in that moment. I was like, how are you operating in life? And whether it's drinking or spending in extravagant lifestyles, like there's a bunch. I mean, I know another guy who closes $3 million a month from his freaking pool in Chandler, right? He's literally sitting on the float, like with the phone, right? Because he's been doing it for long enough, and he's just a freaking machine.
Yeah.
Dude, he's really good.
Living the dream.
Living the dream, right? But you see a lot of extravagant and excess in a lot of directions in this business. And it was the first time, right? I came from being like a teacher at a small Christian school, right? And it's like drop into this. And it's like, oh, it's a little bit different way of doing lunch, right? Than what we experienced. So,
well, how did you, real quick, if I can interject, teacher at a small Christian school, mortgage, business. How did that happen?
Without getting into like super details on the school piece, the school ended up closing, and I was on my way out before it officially closed. There's some, it was just bad relational stuff at the top of the organization. That created a bunch of fallout, and in the Christian community, right? Infidelity doesn't go super well with leadership. So that was a sad time. Right? It was a great school. I literally, before that all happened, I was like, I figured it out. This is what I'm going to do forever. Like, I believe in the model. I believe in the families. I believe in, right? Like
Where are you teaching?
I taught junior high and high school math.
Okay.
So I had everything from like pre-algebra to calc 2.
Okay. Wow.
It was a mess, but it was like, this is what we did. It was like a school in startup mode, right? So like everybody had all the hats.
Yep.
And there's a lot of really great things about that school. A lot of great families, a lot of great coworkers, a lot of kids that got to be educated while also learning about Jesus, which was the best thing. It was so fun. You got to teach differently, right? Like it was just different than you experience in a lot of school systems. Even some of the other private Christian schools today, like that my kids have been in, like it was different.
That's funny. I mean, just real quick, I have kind of something that overlaps with that. I was in public school, up until half of 7th grade. Yeah. And then I went to a small Christian private school that was like tiny. It was literally like half of a farm, half a school. Or like I went there half of 7th and then 8th grade. Yeah. Before I went to public high school. But I mean, my 8th grade class was, I think, 13 kids. And that was a whole 8th grade. Yep. So like kind of reminded me of that. Just like very intimate. And I learned a lot spiritually as well.
It's a different kind of learning environment, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I loved it. I thought it was great. And then obviously, right, the wheel started to come off. At the same time, Ben, one of my best friends who, right, has been on the pod. You guys should check out the pod with Ben. He told some Told some really great stories about catfishing, by the way, which is hilarious because we see that in our business too. But Ben was like, hey, if you're interested, because I was like, hey, can I come work for you? Because I don't think I want to be a teacher anymore. And he was trying to grow his business, and like through a number of like back and forth conversations and dialogue, it was like, all right, I'm just going to get licensed and come do this. And we'll figure out what that looks like and how I get, like we'll kind of figure it out. And it was this really amazing, like almost decade run of like, here's how you run a credit report and stack paper files, all the way to like, how do we grow like #1 branch of the company and expand and launch different banks in the marketplace. And we did a lot of really cool stuff together. We're super grateful. He's my Brian.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, but that's how we got there. And then some of the guys that were at his branch when I started were those guys that was selling the story. It's like, oh, okay. I gotta, you know, it's a different league of what I was expecting from just like a straight, like everything goes, right? And you had guys like new Maserati this week, right? Jets, right? Alcohol problems, probably drug problems, like just the whole gamut of debauchery.
Yes.
Right. And it's not unique to our industry, but it was more, it seemed more obvious in this industry. And I wasn't, I think, ready for that.
Sure.
So anyways.
No, I've seen the same kind of thing. I'm trying to think, as you were saying that, I was trying to think of like why, again, it's not unique to our industry. People are people. We're flawed.
Yep.
So whatever our demons are can pop up, whether
no matter what we do.
Yeah, doing this or digging ditches. But I was wondering what about this industry might kind of feed into that, and it's maybe the sudden sometimes influx of cash.
Yep.
And sometimes money can be like pouring gasoline on a fire if you've got some demons that
100%.
Yeah, so I feel like that's probably a piece of it. And especially if you are functioning enough to have success in this business and all of a sudden you see your income, you know, go up exponentially, all of a sudden it's like, great.
Yeah. It's like anything, right? Like what are the habits that you have? What are the environments you find yourself in? And if you're not paying attention, it goes from being like the casual drink with coworkers to like the thing I do, because before all that money shows up, there's a whole lot of really stressful work.
Right.
Right? Like that was the other thing I think I wasn't prepared for, is how wildly stressful this can be, because
Well, those gray hairs on my face don't seem so funny now.
yeah.
I earned them.
You have. Right? But it's like you're helping people with the largest transaction in their life, sometimes the most stressful, sometimes like there's a way to yes, but the easy thing is to say no, but you advocate for someone, which is the beautiful thing to do, but it doesn't come without its challenges in a highly regulated industry, right?
Yeah.
So like doing the right thing by everybody is a lot to manage, right? It just is.
I think the hardest part, to your point, is for me in terms of stresses in this job is the fact that I can do my job on this loan 100% correctly, not make a mistake. I mean, I've made mistakes, we're human, but I can still do everything right, not do anything wrong. And if one of the other 10 people who touches this file drops the ball in some way, then we're dealing with a huge problem.
We're project managers, right?
Yes,
like we depend
for sure.
on all these people, right? Like I have a file that's been ready to dock out, but we can't get the HOA to send the right condo docs, right? It's like there's no, like there's one place, there's one route to this necessary piece of information.
And I can't get it.
And I can't get it. And there's one person that is in Washington, like it's not a state one, of course. Right? I literally can't even drive over there, right? So there's a lot, right? There's a lot you don't control, but you're responsible for.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, for me, that's very difficult. I have a hard time, like I get stressed out on airplanes. It's like, why? If I really stop and think about it, why? I'm not flying this plane. They shut the door, I'm in. Wherever this plane winds up, hopefully it's the runway I want it to be. But if it's not, okay, like what can I do?
So what's the right? So we know the wild and the debauchery, and like we know the crazy things that people run to as a way to handle that. What do you do?
What do I
How
do?
How do you stay healthy in that?
I feel very grateful that I don't have what I would call an addictive personality. And so I could see the stresses of this job driving me toward some bad habits that thankfully I don't struggle with. So that's I feel relief about that, because I've seen plenty of times people, having these demons that stress just amplifies, and they just kind of dive into that. I would say probably, again, my biggest struggle is finding that right balance between my family, who's far and away the most important thing to me, and making sure I'm providing. It's all about, in my mind, family and making sure I'm doing what I need to in my role for them. But from their perspective, I can see that sometimes they might feel like I'm neglecting them, and they're right in some moments where it's like, I didn't need to take that call, or I didn't need to, whatever it might be, have my time taken by this thing. But it's like, my motivation is to be there and come through for them. And so that sounds like self-aggrandizing, and I really don't mean it to be, because I know I don't find the right balance, but that's my biggest struggle. And I have, thankfully, that drive to, do better than I did last time, and be the best I can version of this that I can be. And like, whatever that metric I use in my own mind to keep driving myself looks like, that's what keeps me going. And I don't ever want to like lose that. And I don't think I could if I wanted to, but yeah, just making sure that I am finding the right balance. And it's always going to be a work in progress. I feel like I've gotten better in some ways, but in other ways I'm never going to be perfect at it, because I've just got this need to making sure I'm not dropping the ball on this loan or this prospect or whatever.
So it keeps you out of some of the habits that could be destructive.
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, for sure. I've never, in my whole life, I've never consumed alcohol to the point of throwing up. Like I can have a drink and knock the edge off and feel fine. And then it's like, once I start to feel like anything other than kind of that chill buzz feeling, you might say, I'm good. Because I don't like the feeling of not being in control.
And that's the place where not everybody has, that same.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people close to me that are like, I can't just have one drink, two drinks, because what's the point? Is like the way, even though they're saying it from a perspective, like, I know that's a silly way to think. It's just like, I just going to keep going to get to, well, whatever that looks like. I don't stop. And so I just won't even start. So God bless them for being that self-aware. I get it. I can't relate to it personally, but I'm feel grateful that I can't, because that seems like tough burden.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, this is like a twist. I didn't expect this in our podcast, to be honest, but like, there's a legitimate, there's a legitimate moment here where it's like, wait a second, some of those things are probably celebrated, or the results that come from people that have some of these vices, whether they're known and understood or not, are celebrated, whether it's in the industry or online and social media, like the guy who's closing, $10, $15 million a month, and his personal life and his liver are wrecked, but nobody on the internet knows it, but he's all the likes, all the follows, all that, and then you have the people in the office like, I want to be like fill in the blank, but it's like there's a bunch, there's a wake of destruction that you're unaware of. And I think, and then for that guy or that girl that have those tendencies or creating that destruction in their life, because it gets celebrated, every time that it gets celebrated, it makes it harder to change paths.
Yeah.
So we're going like addiction therapy type stuff real quick, but like,
but I mean, I've closest people in my life, my family, people struggle with that, and I've seen it firsthand, and it's hard because I wish I could relate on a personal level and give some sort of counseling that's better than just like, don't do that.
Well, but I feel like we should probably people should get counseling. Like, I think that's what I'm trying to say to the camera right now. Like, if that's you or you think that's somebody you know, like, get the counseling, do the work. It's worth it. And I know people. I'm not going to shout out names and companies right now, but I know people that this is what they do, and they're really good at it and are a great resource. So, for real, that olive branch exists. So the contact info for Josh and myself will be on the banner below. But really grateful to have you, man. Thanks for sharing some stories. I know we've been through a lot in this business, and I know this business demands a lot of us. And I just appreciate you taking some time to share your stories with us, and the professional journey that you've been on, and the way that it impacts the lives of not just the people you care most about at home, but also the people that you get to serve and put into homes. It's a really beautiful job that we do, and you're very, very good at it. So,
well, I appreciate that. I am a person of faith, and I don't think it's a coincidence that I landed where I did. I think this is exactly what I'm suited to do. It certainly has its highs and lows like anything else, but I feel very blessed to do what I do. And I have the love and support of an amazing woman, my wife, Caitlin, love you, and 3 amazing kids, hopefully more soon. We'll see.
We'll do another update. We'll do a podcast when there's 4.
I have a few non-gray hairs left, so we'll take care of that real quick.
Well, after they turn gray, they start falling out. Just
okay.
FYI.
I have that to look forward to. My forehead's big enough. Can we stop there?
So, thanks, man.
Thank
Josh, legend. Thanks, brother. And but for real, on the addiction stuff, if that's something that you know, or have people that you know, and they don't feel like they know where to turn, we'd love to help. So, thanks, and
appreciate you.
Cheers to a great run in a great industry.
Yes, sir.
And to what's ahead. Appreciate you.